Dear reader, listener, you are almost halfway through this story. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, if you're beginning this audio version of Taught on week 17, I would advise going back to listen to weeks 1 through 16 and the foreword and prologue. All of these are in order in the playlist and can be accessed on the YouTube channel Taught at Taught 2022. This character's journal will make much more sense if you start at her beginning. Thank you for reading, listening. Taught. Week 17. Monday, December 12th, 2016, 7 a.m. My jeans are cutting my circulation off. I had to find a flowy shirt to wear with them because my muffin top is slowly becoming a mushroom top. Clearly, I'm eating too much. Specifically, I'm eating too much crap. Right now, I have a steady flow of chocolate and goodies that are making their way to me through well-meaning benefactors every day. One of the paraeducators that works in my room during 8th hour brought me a container of brownies on Friday. I also got a huge box of Ferrero Rocher chocolates from a student last week. This doesn't include the little goodies that make their way to my desk each day. A Lindt chocolate here, a few Hershey Kisses there, and everyone knows I love a good peanut butter cup. This morning in the mirror, I realized I'm beginning to resemble Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars. No end of chin nor beginning of neck. My face has become a blob of double chins that morph my face into my body. And the way things are going down with the food reminds me of Jabba the Hutt also. I sit at my desk and the peasants bring me gifts of food, mainly chocolate. Rather than having Princess Leia in her gold bikini on a chain, I have a donut dangling from my fingers, ready to be dunked into my vat of Starbucks coffee. Han Solo wouldn't be frozen in my world. He'd be dipped in ice cream and chocolate. The fact that I just referred to my coworkers and students as peasants in this analogy makes me wonder if my mind is becoming Jabba-like also. Is everyone bringing food to keep me appeased? Tuesday, December 13th, 2016, 3:45 p.m. When I took my jeans off last night, it looked as if I was still wearing them. I had perfect little red lines down the side of each thigh that looked like jean seams. Identical lines went down my inner thighs, and my belly had a beautiful button and zipper imprint on it. I was inspired to take a salad for lunch today. Now I'm trying to get home as quickly as possible to eat the first thing I can get my hands on. Chris Rahman stopped by my room today so we could chat about Lewis. It seems Lewis has grown on him too. He wondered how many other kids like Lewis were out there. He wants to see if we can set up some kind of swap shop at school for kids who need clothes. Seems like it might be a good idea. He's a really great guy. I wish I worked with more people like him. The man has a family, a teaching job, coaches, and still is up for helping out in other areas. When we left, we had a plan to get Lewis more shower supplies and maybe a new coat. He also let me know that he had been connecting with Phil, who now knew about his mom's condition. Phil needs a strong male mentor like Chris. I don't know where Chris finds the time to do all he does, but it seems like he's really helping Phil stay focused and on track. Thursday, December 15th, 2016, 7 a.m. And so it starts. My grandma is so excited we're coming for Christmas, but excited in the way that she wants to plan every detail. Now, keep in mind, she's not capable of doing much these days, and at 80, she has earned that right. However, in her mind, certain things still need to be done, so she nominates me to do them. Our first argument this morning was over when Paulo, Mimi, and I would arrive. This is a trap if there ever was one. If I give her a time and we are early or late, it throws her into a tailspin that she will not recover from for the duration of our stay. Every moment from that point, whether mundane or poignant, will be punctuated with comments about how some people lie about arrival times and don't care whose day they disturb. For this reason, I refuse to give her an arrival time other than a day we will be there. Our second argument was about washing windows. I don't want to do most of the ever-growing list of things she wants me to do while I'm there. But I know she needs help. And one day I will be in a similar state, and I hope there will be someone to do things for me, no matter how ridiculous they seem to the helper. And just saying, how is it she can keep a list of things for me to do, but not my dad? The gist of this argument is a logistical one. She wants her windows washed. It is December, and I do not feel like getting on a ladder and dipping my hand repeatedly into a bucket of water when it is 28 degrees outside. Paulo mans the squeegee and towel for this semi annual event, and he's not going to be happy when I tell him she wants us to do this when we go. We missed our fall trip to see her, typically when we would have been doing this. I think I was mid breakdown over my evaluation performance plan and couldn't muster up the energy to drive 6 hours round trip to clean windows. My dad said he would hire someone. Apparently, that never happened. As we end this discussion with me saying I would see what the weather was like when we got there and decide if I wanted to do it then, she sniffs and says that had she known no one was going to get this taken care of, she would have just done it herself back in October. Since she cannot walk up more than 3 steps anywhere, we both know this is a lie. And it is not her fault if no one can see out her windows when we get there. The third argument is over why Mimi isn't potty trained yet. The simple answer to this is I don't have time to potty train her. Therefore, like all things, this will have to wait for summer more than likely. I had considered trying over Christmas, but now that we're traveling, I don't want to deal with her having accidents in the car, other people's houses, and trying to get her to use public toilets while we are en route. My grandma thinks there's something wrong and I should take her to the doctor. It's not normal for a child to be over 2 and not potty trained. This probably bothers me so much because I constantly feel like I'm not doing enough as a mom and a wife. It seems as if this is evidence for the case against me. And grandma is really good about implying that I'm lazy. When she was my age, she worked and took care of my dad, and he was potty trained at 18 months. We end this argument with me saying that she should have a child of her own and she can potty train it whenever she wants to. Then she asked me if I was getting ready to start my period. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Friday, December 16th, 2016, 3:50 p.m. Craziest day of the school year, except for the last day of school. I have a bag full of goodies from kind and thoughtful students and colleagues. And despite my grinchiness towards all things school, I stayed up half the night making candy to give to people. I intentionally made fudge, which I don't care for, so that I would not eat any of it myself. It was a hit with my students for sure. I need to record something, but I know I'm going to get very emotional. And I'm driving. But this journal is about releasing my feelings in a positive way, and maybe it's time to give it a try. Okay, here goes. There's one thing I hate about breaks. It means I have to go for an extended time without seeing kids like Phil and Megan and Lewis. There are many others too, but these are the ones that are in my heart, and I can't let them go. Yesterday, I reported suspected neglect and abuse in Lewis's home. Oh, God, I'm gonna cry. Deep breaths. Okay. Okay, maybe I should chat a little about why this is a big deal. I mean, teachers are mandated reporters, and this goes along with the territory, but it is a heady responsibility to take on. Once that call is made, you can't unmake it. If you suspect abuse, you're required to report it. And I have seen the effects of these calls for the better and for the worse. There is this line between abuse, discipline, and lack of parental skills. Sometimes parents just don't have any tools to parent except the ones they grew up with. And since they were raised that way and they turned out fine, at least in their own minds, they never even think about whether their behavior could be labeled as abuse. But if their kid comes to school and tells the teacher that their father left them stranded after basketball practice, And then they had to walk 4 miles to their house only to find it locked up. Then the father didn't show up until 11 p.m., all while the kid was locked out because the father had been in the ER getting his ankle bandaged up due to a drunken fall while playing football with some of his drinking buddies. Well, we have to decide if that's reportable. Who are we to say if the dad's an alcoholic? Maybe it was really an accident of coincidences. I drink. It is completely plausible that I could break an ankle after an extra glass of wine doing any number of things. I'm not an alcoholic, at least I'm not yet. People forget their kids' schedules. Maybe he thought the kiddo was being picked up by the mom. There are any number of scenarios that make this not an abusive situation. But if we don't report it, and a few weeks later, that same dad crashes his car with his kid in it on the way home from basketball practice because he was drunk, then we have to live with the fact that we could have reported and maybe made a difference in the outcome. Or maybe not. Because sometimes you report and nothing happens, and you just get to see these poor kids continue to carry on in horrible circumstances. And then there are the cases where the kid and the family know that you reported and they all hate you because you're trying to wreck their home. The hardest part is that, abusive or not, these kids usually care very deeply for their parents. And it is gut-wrenching to see families separated, even when it is for the best. And it is this last outcome that makes me nauseated as I think about what that phone call might mean for Lewis and his family. I know he loves his mom when she's not in jail, and she loves him too. She just loves heroin more. And he has a mean ass stepdad who loves nothing more than he loves being mean. Lewis's caseworker drops in from time to tell me about awful things that are going on in Lewis's home, and I don't understand why someone doesn't do something. The caseworker has explained to me a million times that he is working with the family and that everyone is learning and coping in that family, not just Lewis. This is the second time I filed a report with CPS this year over Lewis. The first time was when he came to school so sick that I actually let him take a nap during my class behind my desk. I tried several times to contact his parents, and so did our school nurse. Finally, Dana, the school nurse, contacted someone, and they said he would be fine and was just faking it. Dana had his temp at 103 degrees. She insisted that someone come and get him. Dana and I filed that first report jointly. Yesterday's report was after Lewis came to school with his jaw so swollen he could not eat his lunch. He said his 2-year-old brother had hit him with a plastic lightsaber. Also, it was my day to wash his clothes, and they smelled weird, like smoke or gasoline or something. Come to find out, it was barbecue grill smoke because they had no power or heat until Friday. Lewis says that's when his stepdad gets paid. So they were barbecuing in the house. Okay, shit. I'm going to have to pull over. Fuck. I just can't talk about this kid without weeping. So I reported again. Eventually, Child Protective Services will do something, and I'll lose my little guy. But I can't save him in those conditions either. This is bigger than what the ability to read and write can fix. The irony here is that CPS is already involved, which is why he has a caseworker. So I know that by continuing to report, I'm forcing the system to do more than assign him a caseworker. What I really want is to take him home and give him all the things that I know he will likely be denied, like love and stability and heat. It's so fucking unfair. He's a great kid, and he does not deserve this. Today I gave him the stupid sweats t-shirt and sweat jacket outfit for Christmas to take home. He was thrilled. Then I showed him the new things that I had bought to replace it for school use, and I gave him the coat. He gave me a huge, clingy hug, and as he was walking out the door, he stopped and said he bet I was a really great mom and Mimi was lucky to have me. Okay, I can't do this. I'll just have to leave it at I'm scared for what happens to some of these kids when no one is paying attention. But like most of the shit that has no answers or help, I'll do what I always do. Just don't think about it.